So here you are, doing all the things that you think you need to do as a mother and a wife. You feel like you're carrying the emotional load, the physical load, and the mental load. You're the first to get up in the morning. You make sure all the lunches are done. You make sure that all the housework is in a state that you like it to be. You've put the dishwasher on, you've unstacked the dishwasher, you've got the washing going, and somewhere in all that, you ask your partner to give you a hand. It might be as simple as, can you just turn the washing machine on? Can you just throw a few things in that washing machine? Can you just take the garbage out? And in that, all of a sudden, your partner either ignores you or he turns it around on you so that you feel like you're the problem. He starts to criticize you for being nagging, for being judgmental, for being critical. And all of a sudden, you're there left feeling, what have I done wrong? Why can't we be a team? What is wrong? What is wrong with him that he can't be on the same team as me? I'm doing all this. Can't he see that I'm doing all this? And so you have this ongoing drama in your head the whole time, feeling like you've been taken advantage of, feeling like you're not seen, feeling like you're not heard, feeling like you're disrespected, and any approach that you might have. And I bet you've made a lot of them, because I remember this. This used to be me in my first long-term relationship. I went to all the workshops. I read all the books. I tried sort of approaching him softer. I tried approaching him more firmly. I tried standing my ground and using my voice. I tried loving him differently. I tried everything, and nothing changed the dynamic that I felt. It didn't matter what it was about. It was a different situation, but the same feeling. And that went on and on for a really long time. I know that this is a very common thing that many women experience because we are over functioning. We do know, we can see everything that's going on. We can see what needs to be done. And we wonder, why can't they see the basic things that need to be done? We end up stepping in and doing all this stuff, and then we feel resentful afterwards, and we feel bitter, and we feel even worse when they decide it's our problem just because we've asked them to help. So I want you to know that this is not a communication problem, that this is actually nothing wrong with you. And to be honest, it's really nothing wrong with him either. So blaming him or expecting him to change is also not going to change this situation for you. And I want to give you a really clear idea of what this is about, because there is an underlying structure that we often don't see that was set up in childhood, and it's like a framework. We often try to change our life from within the same framework. So we're not really going to get long-term results that make a big difference because we still haven't changed the structure. It's like we're in a house and we're changing the curtains, we're painting the walls, but we haven't actually stepped outside of that house. Now, when you're in these dynamics with a partner, over time you can feel so inflamed, it can feel so like there's no solution, this powerlessness that's at the very soul of you. You just cannot see a solution. You cannot see a way out. I want you to know leaving the relationship is actually not the solution at this point. When you can't see a way out and you feel powerless, it makes it really hard to change anything because you're always operating from powerlessness. So we really want to change that to start with. But let me show you how and why this works in terms of the dynamic, because when you understand that, you can actually start to step outside of that architecture, and I'll show you how. For me, being responsible and actually figuring things out and being the person that did everything that was needed, that was my survival strategy. That was how I learned to be in a relationship. It's how I learned to relate. It looks a little bit like this. So here's me, and as a child, when I didn't feel safe, which often happened, and I had that feeling in my body, I never learned how to actually come back to a feeling of safety inside of me. I was not taught that. I wasn't taught how to deal with my feelings. So what I did is I jumped into my head, straight up here. I didn't process my feelings at all, right? So they've all been stored in my body for a long time until I figured this out. I jumped in my head and I started to figure out, well, what is the best way for me to resolve this issue? So as a child, what I might have wanted was my parents' attention. I might have wanted to feel safe. I might have wanted to feel connected. And I figured out that the best way was to overgive, to put myself last, to people please, to fix things. And I learned all of these behaviors as a way of actually getting my emotional need met. So my emotional needs are going on. I don't know what to do with them. I jump into my head. I learn this structure of how to be in relationship, and I get a response from this person as a child. It might have been my parents, and perhaps they approve of me, or they might, validate me, whatever they do. That's what I want back. I want this acknowledgement back. When I come into a relationship with a partner, I'm still running these patterns of relationship. I still think that this is how I get my emotional needs met. Remember, my emotional needs are inside my body. They're my feelings. Nobody actually else can fix them except for me. But I've learned that what I need to do is I need to do things in order for them to be met. So here's my partner. And in order for me to give value to this relationship, in order for me to be the sort of person that he really values and he wants to keep loving and is safe in this relationship with him, I do all these things. And in return, I would really like some support. I would really like some value. I'd like him to value me. I'd like him to acknowledge me. And I'm waiting for him to do all these things. Literally, if you think about it, maybe it's metaphorically, I've given him responsibility for my well-being. I don't know what to do with my feelings. Let's call it my heart. So I give him my heart to look after. He's responsible for how I feel. He's responsible for my heart. He's responsible for making sure that I feel okay. Because I've given him that role, not consciously, of course, I have to keep doing all these things. I have to keep doing all the things to make sure that I've met all the other things that need to be done around the house. I have to pick up everything. I can't ask for too much. I have to put myself last. Like I am way down the priority list. And in return, he has my heart, and I expect that he's going to look after it and do these things. But when he doesn't, which is pretty often, right? Because he's probably not even quite sure how to look after his own heart and deal with his own feelings. And here we are making him responsible for our well-being, which is really, it's just not going to work, right? So he's either just a human, or maybe he has all his own stuff and he doesn't do this, so I get resentful. And so now I start to do all of these things, but I'm doing them from a feeling of resentment. I'm doing it from a feeling of stress, from anxiety, and from blame. Like I blame him. I'm really resentful. And this really inflames me over time. And so my words and my actions, they're not done from loving service. They're done from self-abandonment. Like everything I'm doing in this relationship is because I have to walk away from myself to do all these things that I feel like I have to do to keep everybody else happy and satisfied and okay, so that they still love me and I'm still acceptable and I'm of value to them. This is the unconscious dynamic that's going on underneath. Like this is the structure. So we step into that structure like a frame, and we keep trying to fix what's going on, but we still haven't looked at this whole frame. The good news is when we start to do this differently, the jumping into our head bit and the running the dynamic thing, we actually come home to ourselves. We stop abandoning ourselves. We come back to something in us that actually has exactly what we're looking for. We're no longer outsourcing, we start insourcing. So what that means is when situations occur, I'm not turning up powerless. I'm not turning up without myself. I'm actually turning up with myself. I've actually turned up present. I'm here for me, and I feel empowered in this moment, which actually gives me a much better chance of doing something about it. If you think about this, everything that you're asking him to do is actually not about what you want him to do. It's about, or her, it's about meeting the emotional need. When the bin isn't taken out after you've asked it, it's not that he hasn't taken out the bin, it's that you feel disrespected, you feel unheard, you feel unseen. So when you can start acknowledging that this is all about your emotional needs, which you've made him responsible for all of this time, and sometimes that's a harsh truth, right? And it's not like we've deliberately done it. We were taught how to be in a relationship like that. But honestly, it doesn't work for anybody because they never learn emotional responsibility and we end up abandoning ourselves. So if that's the case, then we can switch that around quite easily. And it doesn't change in you leaving him or, doing anything drastically like that. And I would highly recommend that you don't do that to start. I would highly recommend that you use this situation for self-mastery. You can grow, you can reclaim your power in this situation. And at some point down the track, if you make a decision then that the relationship is not serving you, that's fine. But at least you're doing it from an empowered state. So if the problem is not him and what he's doing, if it's this dynamic that we're running, then what we need to look at is, okay, how can I show up for myself? How can I stop abandoning myself? Because that is where the solution lies. How this looks like in real life. I ask him to take out the bin. He doesn't take out the bin. Rather than me having this feeling rising up to me and yelling at him or being resentful or being critical or being judgmental or even doing the silent treatment and just becoming passive aggressive for the next couple of hours, I stop. And I acknowledge that I have a feeling in me. Wow, like I'm feeling so unseen and unsupported right now. I'm showing up for myself. I'm allowing myself to feel the feeling that I'm feeling. I'm coming here and why wouldn't I feel like that? Of course I'm going to feel like that. Even me just being here for me and acknowledging this feeling is me showing up for me. And I instantly start to feel better because I haven't abandoned myself. I'm here for me. Something shifts. Not because the bin's been taken out, but because I've started to see me. I've acknowledged what's really going on. I've shown up for me. I've come back into the presence in me, which feels empowered. And the more I keep doing this, the more I start to feel this incredible sense of inner strength and internal safety. Because I want to feel safe. The reason I ran these dynamics is because I didn't feel emotionally safe in those situations. I felt dysregulated. I felt like something was wrong, that I couldn't relax. And so I started to run those patterns as a child. I learned how to relate like that, possibly even patterns passed down from, past generations. But now it's like, okay, I'm here for me. I can show up for me. Why wouldn't I feel like that? So we're going to turn up for ourselves. And from that point of empowerment, we're going to start thinking a little bit differently. We're going to start expressing ourselves from that place now, not from reaction, not from this dynamic, but now that we've come back into our true nature and we're actually showing up for ourselves, now we might say, when I ask you to take out the garbage, I feel like I'm not supported or I feel disrespected. I feel like I'm not seen. Now, I'm not saying it to punish them. I'm not saying to teach them. I'm not saying it for any other reason other than that I am giving my feelings expression, and in doing so, I'm empowering myself. Whenever I say to anyone in my close family, I feel like I'm not important when you make comments like that. I feel totally disregarded when you say things like that, or it lands on me as a feeling when you don't respond. I tell myself the story that I'm not worth listening to, or I'm not important, or that I'm not valued. And the reason that you do this is for 3 reasons. First of all, not giving our feelings expression is us not showing up for ourselves. It's us abandoning ourselves. It's something that we've done probably for a lifetime, and those feelings stay suppressed, ignored, or repressed. We want them to actually have expression. We don't want them to have expression from reactivity, from the feeling of powerlessness. We want them to be expressed from our authority when we're actually in that regulated, stable state because we've just shown up for ourselves and acknowledged our feeling. 2, we're not adding to the blame, the resentment, all of the residual that we're carrying because we're actually doing something about the way we feel in this moment. So we're not carrying anything forward. We're making a statement. 3, because we start to respond differently, and mind you, this is response, not reaction, and our response is based on our true nature, on our own internal authority, the relationship must reorganize around us. I'm not playing this same game anymore. I'm not in this dynamic anymore. It's completely collapsed because I'm over here showing up for me. I'm standing in my full power. I've reclaimed my power. I'm in my heart. I'm not in my head creating a dynamic. I'm here right now. And so everything around me must change because I am coherent. I'm completely aligned with who I am. I've made myself the priority. I've made my state of being the priority. And that has an impact on everything around me. It must, especially as a mum who is the center of the family. My state of being, me being present and coherent and completely connected with that heart intelligence in me, that inner intelligence, that intuitive power, it must ripple out into my family. Now, we might not see changes straight away, but if we consistently turn up like that every single time, something has to give. We're not playing these dynamics anymore. We're not giving them our power. Every time they don't respond or every time they criticize us and we feel powerless, they're feeling empowered. We're not doing that anymore. There is no exchange of power. There's no exchange of love anymore because we're over here feeling the love and the presence inside of us. We haven't given them our heart. We've taken responsibility back for our own heart. And we're feeling that love and that presence right now. There's no exchange anymore. There's no power exchange. So things have to change, right? So there's one more thing that I want to say before I go. You aren't the problem, and you don't need to fix this. It is not your responsibility to fix it. It's not going to be fixed by more efforting or more information. That is just not how it works. And I say this because I've worked with a lot of women and I have implemented it in my own life. I want you to know that there's nothing inside of you that has to be better or get better at something in order to fix this, because that's how our minds often work, right? This is a structural thing. It's a learning of coming back to ourselves, of reclaiming our true power, and that is the work I do. I show women how to start showing up for themselves in relationships where they've been required to abandon themselves all of their lives. If you're interested in that, underneath this video there is a free quiz. I really invite you to go and do it because it will show you where your heart is learning to grow in capacity. And I really hope that this video has landed on you. If it has, please make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments. Sending you love.